time, it wasn't really a big mainstream market for pro porn for that. You know, it wasn't until maybe 2009, 10 that like everything was more on demand with like the piracy and porn and being online.
And a lot of the VHS or the DVDs were like themed. Like if you wanted to do pregnancy, it couldn't just be like a porn shoot and there's one pregnant girl. You had to do
need
like
a whole movie of pregnant girls.
Yeah.
Right.
It would have to be like preggy hoes.
Preggy ho, Mexicans and Orientals.
Yeah.
Too many sexy ladies are underappreciated. They deserve more than a standalone goon. This looks like a job for not one but two goons. Two goons, not one but two goons. Two goons, 7 hours in the bathroom.
Today's episode is guest starring porn superstar, paramedic, and firefighter Eva Angelina.
It's me, Che Durena, my co-host JJ Lieberman, and to kick things off, we have an absolute legend of the industry. She was in it, she was out of it, she was back in it. Many of you maybe had your first nuts to her. She's one of the most interesting people I think I've ever talked to in my life.
Most interesting. This is sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Absolutely. Everyone give it up for Eva Angelina.
Woo woo! Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
You were saying off camera, this is why we don't like to talk. It's so hard. It's so hard because you don't want to talk. And then you said that probably the greatest soundbite I've heard today. You go, I was the original jizz on glasses girl.
Jizz on my glasses. Yeah, and actually, Howard Stern had a sound clip that he used to play on Sirius XM all the time of like me being interviewed saying something along those lines back like 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So yeah, you've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah,
dude.
21 years.
21 years.
Since 2003.
But
So what was the jizz on my glasses?
yeah, this
thing,
is why
though?
I'm very interested. I was like, okay, let's not leave this for this is at least a few minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a website back in the day, back in the dial-up days, okay,
Yeah.
when we're AOL instant messaging each other and everything. And it was, it was a website, and I happened to just wear glasses. I've been wearing glasses since I was like 10 years old. People thought it was a gimmick, and I was like, no, I am blind. Like, I can't see anything in front of me. Like, do not let me drive without them.
Yeah.
So it kind of got to the point where directors would tell me if I wore contacts that day, they're like, you got to go home and get your glasses.
They like the glasses.
You're like,
look.
yeah, they're like, we will not shoot you unless you're wearing your glasses.
So you got to get the glasses like the
yeah,
jizz.
they want the facial, the pop shot across my face. Actually at one point we were gonna do a gag gift where it was my glasses with like windshield wipers on it.
So funny. And so what, do you remember the first one that they actually did? Do you remember that scene or no?
It was like my first scene.
Yeah.
First scene,
ever. It got jizz all over my glasses.
population pace right all over the
All
glasses.
over, yep.
Yeah.
Crews they're like, this is unbelievable.
Amazing. Now you gotta lick it up. I'm like, okay.
So you would take them off and then clean them off.
Yeah, and it
that
always
was-
became
wow.
like a prop. So it was like rubbing on my nipples and like, you can see all the cum. I'm like licking it off.
So were you must have done you were one of the OG librarians then?
Yeah, yep.
Yes.
I shot a movie called Oriental Academy.
Oriental Academy.
Because I'm also Asian, so they're like, let me put you in this movie. Or I did like, because I'm Cuban also, but they put me in like Mexicans and like all this, you know.
They put you
So
in
I grew up in the business being really confused as to what I really am. And so yeah, I was always the teacher, the professor, the nerd, the college student, the business professional, whatever.
Did you have, so you took time off and came back, right?
Yes.
Did you have a name change or were you always
I was always Eva Angelina. yeah.
always Eva Angelina? So,
Except for my first company I ever shot for was Angelina Del Mar. This is like going back 2003.
Yeah.
So like I only shot for that one company, Net Video Girls.
so quick
that one
story
time,
for
yeah.
you. So we do the yacht a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Get a message from my boy Will.
Oh boy.
And my boy Will goes, can you please tell her that she was my first nut?
Wow. That's huge.
And I forgot to DM you. And now, so shout out to Will. So he said, because you
Yeah, Will.
really, and it is amazing because you're like, your body's great, But there was that look
Right.
in the 2000s, that American gladiator, big fake tits, great body, strong, like.
See, but I didn't always look like this.
Oh, really?
No. So I came in, I was flat chested.
Okay.
Because back then, it was all about, let's see how young of a girl that we can get to look to do the most fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So.
Barely legal.
Yeah, it was the bare legal college invasion. Like I did all the college invasion movies when I first started in the business. And it was all, if you had tattoos, it was bad. If you had
Interesting.
yeah, if you had fake tits, it was bad. Maybe we can find a place for you in the back of the box cover, something like
yeah.
that.
And what year? And this is 2000.
2003, yeah. So
Okay.
so the younger the better. So and I never was an athlete until 2013, 2012,
But there was
2013.
that look. I swear, like 2010, 2000, 2009, 2008.
Yeah, so there was still that. Yeah,
Yes.
that was definitely not me yet.
'Cause
Not
I remember
yet.
you said you were beefing with Jade Jewels or something.
Jade and James, she's the only person that ever talked shit about me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Because isn't she ripped? Isn't she?
Oh,
jacked?
she was more curvaceous.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
she wasn't ripped or anything
I
like
think
that.
I'm mistaking her for someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Maybe,
there's,
yeah.
There's
I think I'm thinking of Jade Jewels or Jade Jewels or something because she was jacked, and I thought maybe
Yeah,
she
no,
was like,
she was not
this
jacked.
girl's jacked, I'm jacked, I don't like her. Yeah.
I was sure that attitude era of wrestling when China did porn.
Yeah.
It kind of opened a door into a look.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. It was just not me yet.
Well, who was the Jenna Jameson? So
Yes.
that was 2005, 2006. Oh, sorry. It keeps on slipping. It keeps on slipping. But that Jenna Jameson look was the look, the very fit, very big
Yes.
tits.
So there was a difference. There was two genres at that time. There was the gonzo genre, which was the young girl do the fucked up hardcore shit, and then there was the feature world, which
Feature,
is,
yes, perfect.
So it was all the contract girls, the Vivids, the Wickeds, all that kind of stuff. Adam and Eve, those kind of companies where they had their beautiful curvaceous, big tits, blonde platinum hair,
Yes.
with the makeup,
That
the
was
porn
the look.
makeup. Yeah. So I actually got my tits so I could start doing those kind of films.
And what year was that?
In 2004.
Okay.
So I only had a year with my natural tits.
So then, when were you starting to get this again? That's the best way. That feature look, and also too, you must have really stood out because a lot of people were blonde hair,
Right.
blue eye,
Yeah.
and then you come with the.
The little nerdy Asian Hispanic girl, you don't even know what she is.
Yeah, the dark features.
young, dumb, full of cum,
Right. But yeah, so Will he DM me, he's like, oh my God, that was my first.
And it's great because when I was in the business at that point, when I started accumulating all my fans, it was, they were young. So now they're now making money and they now recognize me and they're like, oh my gosh. So-
That you because you disappeared for years.
Right.
Yeah.
So now my a majority of my fan base is from back then still.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's something I did recently. I went and looked up some OG wanks that I had, and I was looking up Gianna Michaels, and I was like, a part of me, I Googled, it was Gianna Michaels, what is she doing now?
Yeah, I wish there was a website or something and be where are they now? Or
Yeah.
That'd be
some
a
type
great
of
show.
documentary or something. I want to know.
She's someone there's a few. I'm sure you had the same thing. Gianna yourself. There's a few that left. Sasha Grey, of course, does a Twitch and stuff now.
Right.
But if they came back to porn, it would be fucking, I don't know, Stone Cold Steve Austin doing
Coming
another
back.
match
Yes.
or something. Yeah.
Well, you also have to remember back in the day, you have to physically go into the store, buy a DVD,
Yeah.
or you have to order it online and then wait impatiently for it to come in the mail.
Yeah.
So then these guys end up acquiring the collection once they find their favorite, and it's something they get to look forward to.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Now, I have a question because you've been around since at a different time to now where it's OnlyFans. But the big category right now, I feel, the biggest category, the ones who are absolutely killing it, or one of the, because there's a
Right.
lot of stuff, but one of the major categories is stepmommy.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Now, do you think that's a cultural thing because parents are working now and kids are. I'm being sorry. I'm being serious.
I like where you're going with this.
I'm being
Yeah.
serious. That stepmom is so big now compared to when I was growing up because there is the lack of mother in the home.
So it's like now people have mommy issues
Mommy
from the
issues.
lack of mom.
Well,
yes. Or was it always around?
So there was always the MILF category. What
Yeah.
I think the difference is between the two is it's the MILF age, but she's still hot without the kids.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
she's the stepmom.
Okay.
So, there's kind of a little bit more of the taboo without being kind of insensual about it
Yeah.
in a sense, so.
And the other thing that could be very true. So you would fall under what category would you say?
I'm definitely a MILF. I have kids.
So
yeah.
here's another thing too. That's a big difference. That not everyone, you see this with men. Male porn stars used to be pigs. Now most male porn stars are in shape.
They're studs.
They're literal studs. 20 years ago, how many realistically 35 and older women were in incredible shape? Now where you have 35 and older, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
So now you have women who are 35, 40 who are even hotter than
Yeah.
chicks who are in their 20s because they have kept,
That is something that people don't talk about a lot, is that female porn stars are, I mean, male too, but a lot of the ladies are some of the most in shape people consistently, because you're like, I got to be naked all the time. Their gym routines, their health routines, they're some of the most fitness minded people you'll come across.
Do you
Yeah.
think that's why it's so big?
No, I think it was. I don't know. I'm kind of glad because back in the day when I was like officially, I became a mom when I was 24, and they
really?
Yeah. So they were like,
I have some questions.
It's time for you to shoot the MILF stuff. I'm like, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Okay. Like I still have some time.
Yeah.
Because it kind of made me feel like, oh, now you're shooting the old girl porn. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm not even in my 30s, and now it's like I just turned 40, and they're like. It's like, you just turned 40? I feel like you've been 40 forever.
Because you've been
I'm like, I'm not even 40 yet. Come on, hold on.
Were you? How did you do it with the? How did you do when you were shooting then and the pregnant? Did you do anything around that, or did you take time off?
I had considered it. Actually, towards the end of my first pregnancy, I was like already contemplating leaving my husband.
Okay.
So that was kind of like, this is how I'm going to have to make income, because,
That was
it. Yeah.
Then it's still a little taboo now.
Back then,
That would have been.
Cha-ching!
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God! Would have
Yeah.
that ever? Did you ever do any? I love titty milk. Did you? Sorry, I had
Just
to.
like
I had
sweet
to swallow
water.
and say that. I was like swallowing, but also too.
I can relate, okay?
I absolutely love it. But did you want to, since Latina, did you ever want to do the horchata films?
No, I at that time it wasn't really a big mainstream market for pro porn for that. It was more like the websites would have shot you for it. So
Yeah.
you got to remember back then it wasn't until maybe 2009, 10 that like everything was more on demand with like the piracy and porn and being online.
Yeah.
So it was more like instant gratification. But it was very much, especially in the beginning of my career, if you were like an internet girl, it was kind of like, you're like an internet girl.
Like trash.
Like you're just an internet girl. I'm like, what?
And
like,
a lot of the VHS or the DVDs were like themed. Like if you wanted to do
Yes.
pregnancy, it couldn't just be like a porn shoot and there's one
right.
pregnant girl. You
yeah,
had to
you
do
need
like
a whole movie of
Yeah.
pregnant
Oh,
girls.
yeah.
Right.
It would have to be like preggy hoes.
Yeah.
Ricky Ho, Mexicans and Orientals.
Yeah, exactly. There was a theme to it.
Yes.
Can you believe that there's a time where you would have to, and I know but it's not talked about enough. You would have to walk at the back of a convenience store.
Yeah.
And you'd have to go through the beads to look at it. and they were off by the section. Some guy would go to the preggy porn, and you're like, we're all creeps, but ooh, you, like, you little fucking animal.
And you probably like drove from a town over.
Oh,
you
yeah,
didn't wanna
different
do it
county or something.
So you spent like 45 minutes in the car to get there. And then maybe you get there and the prego porn you want is like rented out. And you're like, fuck, and I got to rent a different one.
So
Yeah.
I used to live in Toronto, and after my parents got divorced, my last year in high school, I needed to beat off every day, everywhere. I would beat off in bathrooms. I would
Jesus.
beat off on the street.
Has much changed though?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't. Well, here was the one thing I used to do, and I've never told this story. At Bathurst and Eglinton in Toronto, sorry, I'm chewing candy. I'm trying to swallow this. Let me tell you, this is a good story. Bathurst and Eglinton, there was a convenience store. Asian guy owned it, family owned it. You would go in, and at the back of the store, so it was right beside a donut shop, they had regular movies, but they also had 3 porn booths.
Yeah.
So guys, separate doors, so you could go in, get it, jerk off in this fucking guy's
Booth.
convenience store, and yeah, 3 of them.
Damn.
Wow.
3 doors.
Damn.
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
residential area. A residential area beside a donut shop.
Yeah, no thanks.
Just to jerk off real quick. And
Oh,
Yeah.
I loved it.
I wonder if they
you
use
went-
the
you
donut
used it.
ever.
I was using it all the time.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
but this is not
crazy.
like downtown Toronto. This
No.
is
Suburbs.
suburbs.
Suburb jerk at the donut shop.
Yeah.
They're being thoughtful, okay?
Yeah, dude.
And it was porn just playing on this thing. But, dude, why would you, like, I mean, that's a guy who literally moved to Canada to better his life by owning a convenience store. And he's like, no, I can make a little bit more
I
money.
can make some more money seeing these dudes, not seeing, but like get. And you know what? Maybe he was double dipping. Maybe the guys come and jerk, you film it, then you sell the films of the guys jerking. It's a multi-tiered business off of that.
Well, the internet,
Yeah.
the wild west of the internet. People say it's the wild west. No, it's not. But revenge porn was a real
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It was big time. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were sites that I assume they were operated by like in different countries, and then they were revenge. I mean, it was some of the. I mean, revenge porn.
It's been a lot of countries, even like far off foreign lands, have revenge porn laws now. But it was crazy when it was.
But
first.
you'll go to jail now. For
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
there's like,
Yeah.
they had to really put down the
Yeah.
hammer on that one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about the stepmom stuff, I have a theory that of why it's so popular.
Okay.
There's two separate diversions. One's way more conspiratorial, but there's one. People say it was Game of Thrones. It was like the incest that was going on in Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, the most popular TV show, and the both kind of coincide. The popularity of stepmom, stepbro, stepsister, and the incest between Cersei and what was his name? Jamie.
Lord
Cersei
Jaime.
Yes.
and Jamie Lannister.
Yes.
And they think that like triggered something in a lot of people.
Right.
There's also way more conspiratorial theory that it's kind of like it's the CIA or the
Psyops.
like it's psyop.
A lot of psyops.
Because you get one of the ways it's like the Russians and stuff attacking America, because if you get people into like stepmom and incest porn, then it breaks down, and then you have people who end up like sexualizing their family members. It breaks down the family dynamic, and once you ruin the nuclear family, you can tear down America. That's another
heard
theory.
parts of that, yeah.
That's what another theory that people
Or
have.
they could
yeah.
be also equally correct
Yeah.
theories.
Oh, they could be.
Yeah.
Where there is a psyop, because you see that the famous film of that Russian guy saying we're going to get into America, we're going to start at the schools,
Yeah.
like this is a KGB member,
Yeah.
and whatever he said in the 80s is happening right now.
Yeah.
And then also Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
A lot of guys, a lot of nerds probably watching that show, beating their meat.
Dude, and that's the thing with the stepmom porn is it's like I'll do shows and it'll be like sometimes I'll say to the audience like, what do you jerk off? Anyone watch like stepmom porn or step porn? And it's silent, and I'm like, you're fucking liars.
Liars.
Statistically, especially with my audience, there has to be one of you in here. There has to be. But Kate, I did want to poke on this. We were talking about this briefly before we got on the pod.
I feel like, by the way, you're talking and I'm like this, like Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm absolutely loving this.
This is great. We're cooking.
Yeah, we've got some fucking intel.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like it. The intel. You're coming ready to fucking fire.
Yes.
I could beat my meat right now.
Worked up.
The podcast has completely changed.
It is crazy, by the way. But before, like, you forget because a lot of people like you don't get to meet women on this level ever, and you're just so open and honest, which is finally.
Yeah, like goated, legendary, like tier, like Mount Rushmore porn level.
And
I'd just rather have people hear the truth coming from me than like some other person's like fucked up interpretation where like I don't know, maybe they like I was never molested or anything like that when I was growing up, and like maybe their whole perception on sex is completely different than like the average person, like the normal person or whatever.
Well,
so it's like I don't.
It's nice to somewhat normalize this as well.
Right.
So, but okay, sorry for interrupting. I just think like
No.
I hate to interrupt. We're getting the dynamics of this.
We're getting
but
it
this
good.
is so good. I have to say, like, this is so much fun.
Yeah,
Good.
But I'm what I was gonna say was I'm scheduled to do ayahuasca in a few weeks.
Yes.
I've put it on the books. It's so close now that I'm gonna start doing the like the prep stuff, like
The dieta and all that
dietary
stuff, yeah.
restrictions. Like I don't take any medication or anything like that. But if I was, I would have to stop taking it. Blah blah blah. And I'm obviously nervous. And then you mentioned that you've done it 5 times.
Yes.
Wow.
And when you've done it, so the retreat I'm going to is like 3 days, and you do a ceremony every night. And people always talk about their cups, how many cups they've had. How like have you?
Yeah, so I don't really know how many cups I've had as far as like because my shaman she would measure everything and then log it in this grand book of all her her journeyers or whatever.
Yes.
So she would ask me, do you want to go heavy or do you want to go lighter today?
Yeah.
And so depending on how like there were times where I would just go for one ceremony and for the weekend, or I would do 2 back to back. And based off of the previous ceremony, it would tell me if I wanted to go heavier and go deeper.
Yes.
So
Same person every time?
yes, same place every time. It's in Joshua Tree.
Right on.
Yeah, so it was really easy to get to. It's like 30 minutes away from my dad's house. So depending on what was going on in my life, I would always end up at these crossroads. And I'm like feeling like the castaway, Tom Hanks. I'm like, which way do I go now? Let me ask grandmother Ayahuasca for some guidance. And there were times where, specifically this one time, where someone had told me bring a notebook where you and a pen so you can write notes because you're going to be throwing all kinds of information and feelings. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, but I brought one anyways. And towards the end of the journey, after all the purging is done, I see an old MapQuest paper that we used to print out back in the day with instructions of precise conversations I had to have with precise people the second I get home, where I was going to move to, the office I was going to sell real estate at, the type of real estate I was going to sell. It was literally, I'm like writing this down as I'm seeing it in my brain, and it's pitch dark, and I'm thinking to myself, I fucking hope this pen is working right now because I don't want to lose any of this.
Yeah.
And thank God it did, and I did it all. I did exactly what she told me to do.
Really?
Yeah.
So every time you did ayahuasca, you bring a pen and pad?
Yeah, now after that, for sure.
And so I'm curious because I like weed, but now weed really kind of like fucks with. It's a little too heavy for me.
Okay.
I've done mushrooms once. I am paranoid. I am anxious. You think doing a trip like this is a revolutionary must do?
Absolutely. If anything, it might help you with your paranoia and your anxiety, okay? Because this is medicine. It's plant medicine. So it's not like, your genetically engineered pot or the chocolate you can buy now at the store, with that has shrooms in it. It's literally comes from a vine. And if anything, it's used for depression. It's used to help with addiction. It's used for people dealing with PTSD. And we would have all walks of life life coming in there. And there were times there'd be like just 10 people doing a ceremony with us. And then there was a time there was like 40, and we're like in
Really?
this huge canopy, and like we're like 3-4 rows deep worth of people, and we're all staying the night there and everything. And and I remember seeing this older guy, and he's like, I'm here because in the beginning of our ceremony we talk about our intentions. Everybody goes there with an intention. Like I went my first time because it was the anniversary. It was the birthday of my fiance that killed himself, and it was like the 14th birthday post.
While you were together.
Yeah, he killed himself while we were together. Wow. So it was kind of like I need closure, you know. So I was like, there happened to be a ceremony on his birthday, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. That's my intention. So this guy, he was probably in his 60s, 70s, and he was like, I'm here because all my friends are dying right in front of me. They're all popping off one by one, and I can't cope.
Yeah.
I'm having major coping problems with this. And like, you know, all walks of life. There are 29 Palms is right there. So you get the military guys coming in there with PTSD.
So I want to cut you off. What was the thing that during the trip, so you went through something for, you said 14 years.
Yeah, at that point.
You have 14 years that lived with you. So what was the thing about DMT that, or ayahuasca,
Ayahuasca,
sorry.
yeah. Two very different things.
Two very, very different things.
Yes.
What was the thing about ayahuasca that helped you, like basically, you know, you live with something that's like literally a chip on your shoulder.
Right.
Not in a negative way like you're bitter, but something that you're coping with and it doesn't leave you. What is it about, if you can put it in words, which it's tough to put in words.
No,
but
actually, I can say it right now because I
And
had
make sure also to the
a
mic,
lot of
yeah.
time to think about it. It was a lot of guilt because he committed suicide the day after, because I had left the business for a short period of time, and he was a recovering alcoholic and junkie when we met. And then he relapsed really hard. He was recovering for 10 years prior to we met, so he was good. And the porn really got to him. And so then I quit, and then he relapsed, and then it got to the point where he was losing everything. We were about to lose the house. He was like, you know, people that, you know, where he worked were like, you're a liability at this point. And his addiction to alcohol got so bad that I couldn't help him. I was 19 years old and he was 35.
Oh, you were 19.
I was 19 and he was 35. So I'm like, how do I get this grown man to a detox center?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Like, it was really bad. And he ended up dying a week before we were supposed to get married. Damn. So there was like all this, and then I was banned from his funeral because his whole family blamed me. And then I was getting hate mail and all this stuff, and it just kind of every once in a while on the anniversary, I'll still get some hate mail about it.
Really?
Yeah. Even now, it's been 21 years, and in November, and it's, you know, at that time I was just like, I just wanted to see him, honestly, when I did the ayahuasca. Like, I just wanted to see him and hold him and tell him what's happening. You know, I just wanted to have some kind of interaction. So I was hoping, not knowing what ayahuasca would be like, that I would see him, you know, in my visions. And instead, it was grandmother ayahuasca telling me that I don't have to feel guilty anymore. I don't have to be the saddest girl with the biggest smile, and it's okay to be happy. Yeah. And I was put in this room. It was completely blacked out, except for there was a little side table with a lamp illuminating just this chair, and it was just me sitting on the chair and her talking to me from above. You know what I mean? And that was it. And I came back. And this is after, mind you, there's a purging period where all you're going to see is like basically going your vision through like a kaleidoscope, okay? Very geometric, a lot of colors. Like, you can't see what's in front of you. If someone tries to pull you out, like they bump into you or something distracts you, it's almost like looking through a fishbowl. You're the fish. And then you get back into it and you're purging, you're throwing up. I mean, you can purge in different ways. You can purge through vomit. You can purge through like laughter, tears, snot. They should give you a bucket that you should be given garbage guardians, so they can look after you. They're like assigned to you, so they'll switch out your bucket, or if you need a new handkerchief or whatever, Kleenex, they'll switch it out with, and like you won't even realize it because you cannot see what's in front of you in reality. It's gone. It's if anything, you can feel the purging coming out. And don't fart. Do not fart.
You'll shit yourself.
Do not fart. No matter how bad you want to.
But don't you want it? Isn't it kind of you go with the
unless
flow?
you like. So Alexis Fox, she's done ayahuasca like hundreds of times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's done them hundreds of times, and she will wear Depends.
Yeah.
Because she's so paranoid. She's never had an accident like that. But she told me, she's like, just in case.
Yeah, maybe that's a move.
Right. Yeah, just in case. So.
Look at that. Well, it is funny because if you ever go to the aisle.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. If you ever go to the aisle of the Depends aisle, there's like a young guy on the picture. I'm like, get the fuck out of it. No, that dude's doing ayahuasca.
Yeah.
That's his, so when you go buy adult diapers.
It's only to make the older geriatric patients like feel better.
Good. Yeah, but what they don't know is that guy's shitting his pants because he's hot. So it's you could do it for one night.
You can do it for one night, and it's about 4 hours long.
And it's amazing.
And it's very, very productive. It's about 10 years worth of therapy in one night.
Do you think there are people, so everyone's mind is different.
Right.
Do you think there are people that this might be a little too intense for?
So actually, on my first journey, towards the end of my my journey, all of a sudden, mind you, this is a time where I'm leaving the business. I don't want anything to do with the business. I'm transitioning into real estate, and I'm like severing myself from like people in porn. And this girl that was deep in her journey, I don't know what the fuck. All I remember was being pulled out of my journey because I can't tell if she's getting gang raped or gang banged or like giving birth. Okay. And she sounds like Tory Lane. Her voice literally sounds like the porn star Tory Lane, who was a friend of mine at the time. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to get out of this. And I'm hearing Tory Lane in my brain getting gang banged, gang raped, and giving birth at the same time. And I'm like, holy fuck. She had to get carried out of there. No. Like they literally had to like 4-point her and carry her out, took her into this back room and like nursed her throughout the rest of her ceremony. And it was a massive disruption for the rest of the people there. And she did not remember it the next day.
She was just screaming.
She was, yeah.
What do you think?
It was wild.
That is crazy.
So maybe the fact that she couldn't remember it was reassuring, but whatever was going on in her ceremony, I'd be interested in for half a second to peek in that brain.
Yeah, to see what she was going through.
Yeah.
You know what? Do you think? Because I know acid trips. Sometimes you can have an acid trip, and your mind can change forever.
Right. I think acid's making me smarter.
No, but sometimes it can acid trips where you can have flashbacks and it's bad.
Yeah.
Do you think that's potential with ayahuasca?
I think that's definitely a potential, and I think that might. That's obviously I'll never know, but that might be what was happening to her.
Yeah.
She was resurfacing some like trauma that might have happened earlier in her earlier years.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounded like it.
So what's the difference then? You mentioned it, ayahuasca and
DMT.
DMT. What's the DHT is what made me have no hair. But what's the difference? Because DMT takes you to a quick dark path.
So it's like a 15-minute high, and
you've done this.
Yes.
Oh,
and there's no intention.
Okay.
So it can be anything. That like you're not going in there trying to be like, I want to tackle this. I want to tackle this trauma or my depression or my eating disorder or addiction or whatever. With that's what ayahuasca will help you with.
What was
more
DMT,
therapeutic.
But what was DMT like?
It was literally 15 minutes of like, what the fuck? Like I remember a lot of black in my head, like a lot of darkness, and then like sensations, like I was on sensory overload, and then it was done.
And you come back to normal.
And then it's like, okay, that's it? Like how much time's gone by,
Wow.
Like it's totally different. The things that you will see and feel and hear when you're doing ayahuasca, you have to take information of like the people that you do it with, because you're gonna come home, you're gonna try to explain it to people, and they're gonna think you're fucking nuts. So like to be able to go home and talk to people that have experienced something maybe similar, maybe similar in a way where people can't comprehend, that's enough. You know, it's important. And that was told to me by my shaman too.
That was something that I was apprehensive of at the when I first signed up for this, because my buddy told me like you go up to the fucking retreat and then it's a bunch of people. I was kind of like, I want to be alone, but then he was like, no, during the day you like talk to these people and you connect with these people, and he's like, what the medicine does is it opens you to learning more than you've ever been in your life. Right. So even if these people are like maybe people you would never interact with in your regular life, maybe you even wouldn't like them in your regular life, you're so open to learning that there's a lesson to take from each one of these people.
Absolutely.
And so you sit there and you discuss, because you're all kind of experience this thing together.
And it helps to kind of comprehend as you're telling them and talking about it in retrospect. You're like, it's like you're having aha moments as you're verbalizing what you saw, and you're trying to like put it into words. And as you're doing, you're like, holy fuck, now this unlocked a whole nother level of what I just experienced, because I'm able to talk to somebody about it.
Well, I'm always interested with the normal, quote unquote, person, where, so what you do is not, what we do is not normal.
Right.
It's not. And there's a lot of judgment towards us. Like, so if I'm on stage and I'm bombing, there's two things that are happening. One, it's not funny.
Right.
Or, you know, like there's legitimately cases where we're working on new material. We think it's funny. It probably is funny. We just haven't figured out what
Gotta take it there.
Yeah. We have to figure out how to convey that message, right? So you know, it's like everything else. But then there's the other one where I'm talking about something funny. People have laughed. People could even be laughing in the room, but then there's someone in the room. So I could be
I know
killing it.
specifically what he's talking about.
Yeah, but I could be killing it. But there's like one or two people, or even half the crowd. They're like, "You're disgusting. Who thinks like this?" Now, do you think those people? And that's why I like being around normal people, right? Who are very honest and open. And that's what you probably get from ayahuasca. Do you think people are like that when they're very judgmental? I don't think what we do is fucked up. I think we're all inherently fucked up. I think, you know, we're all fucked up. Whether you're important or you're an accountant or you're whatever you are, you're a comedian, we all have our thing. And do you think the judgment comes based off that they're real fucked up? Like,
I feel like if anything, their judgment is almost envy.
You think so?
Because like we're doing things that they wish that they could do. They wish they can be honest and have conversation on honest topics and speak freely. And because other people can, it almost makes them judge you, because like who is that person to be able to speak like that? You know what I mean? Like what's driven him to be able to say these words out loud, let alone to a bunch of strangers, you know, that don't even know him? If anything, that's more reason too, because you may never see them again.
But I think we have judgment. Like, so I have judgment towards comedians who are like clean and I know they're fake. And I hate them, like literal vitriol hate, like with so much hate. But it's not out of like jealousy. It's like, you fake fucking stuff.
That's different, because they're not being honest. You're seeing them as being a fake, rather than the opposite. They're judging you for your honesty. You know?
Maybe, that's a very good point. By the way, about 30 minutes ago, we're talking about come on glass.
Yes, I know.
And now we're talking about life-changing moments. And for what it's worth, someone might watch the come on glasses, and that might be an ayahuasca trip for him if he's never seen that before.
It might be their opening scene of their journey.
Dude, yeah. No, I'm nervous about it, of course.
So I think it's fascinating in the fact where what people will like about you or me or whatever. So there's a lot of comedians who have gotten big because they're from podcasts. But again, it is this conversation like, so there are people who have watched you do what you've been doing for years.
Right.
And not one person has ever heard that story like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now I doubt you lose fans or followers from that.
I doubt you give a shit.
Oh, I can give two flying
don't
fucks.
give a fuck.
I've been judged by like a lot of people, like especially when I was a firefighter, you know,
Yeah.
and trying to get it hired. Like, she's gonna be an HR nightmare. I'm like, actually, I could give two shits about your firefighters. I'm
Yeah.
jaded, so
Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
There's, you know, like I can have anybody. I fucked some of the best dicks out there.
Yeah.
It's not like I need any, you know, like. But like they'd or automatically presumed that I would stir things up, and
Yeah.
I think and my fire chief would definitely be like, you know, I was probably, for being a female in the department, the least drama when it comes to being around men.
Right.
know?
You look at that one cop, the Missouri cop who fucked the whole force.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. It is.
She's just a regular lady.
Yeah, just regular. People just
Not
want,
so regular.
Yeah.
Well, you know, people just want dick.
And I think people like to mystify everything. Like everything in your mind gets to this place of like, that's where conspiracy theories come from. When usually, like, there's crazy shit going on. They were going to a fucking island and fucking kids. There's weird shit going on. But they're
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove.
There's
all that
a
shit.
lot of things that you don't know about.
But usually the simplest answer is the truth. And when you meet like porn stars or adult creators or any type of people who do crazy shit,
Right.
and you meet them in person and you hang out with them, it normalizes it because this is just someone who hangs out. And you're like,
Right.
yeah, my job is porn, and I'm just
They just think we're always gonna break out in like a gangbang or something.
orgy or everything is super sexual constantly.
I'm
Yeah.
like-
So with that being said, we don't have the time. I feel like we've been doing quite a while. I would like to end on one thing.
Yeah. No, we'll roll a little
Yeah,
long. Let's
well,
roll a little long.
So this has been. I was saying
Yeah.
when you were gone, this has been great.
yeah.
Now, not Epstein Island, but not like that crazy in terms of like. But have there been any crazy stories where people have contacted you in terms of like, again, nothing illegal, but you know what's the movie that we talked about?
Which one?
Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman.
Oh,
Not
Eyes
Wide
Wide
Shut,
Shut,
yeah.
kind of
Any-
like sex party stuff.
And
Yeah.
not normie sex parties,
Right.
but you know this is high end shit.
Yeah, I actually went to one for in Beverly Hills somewhere.
Nice.
And it was
This was when back.
this is back in like 2017.
Oh, so this is okay.
Yeah, 2017.
So you were contacted.
And I was invited. You had to be invited to go, and actually, a comedian was the one that invited me.
wow.
It was like my sponsor, and it was weird because it was very beautiful. It was a crazy mansion. They don't disclose the address until like right before. It's a black tie event, so it's like super high end and masquerade party, and then it was weird because once it hit midnight and all the theatrics was over, like all the hot like wealthy people kind of like went to their separate corners, and then all the like hookers came out.
wow.
And it was like, wait, I didn't sign up for this part, okay? Like it kind of just took away from the element and just brought in like the workers, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like,
and you
it's kind of weird.
you were just there on a date.
I had my own separate date.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were on the date, but then you saw people. So you were just there as.
Did
Yeah.
people have their own rooms, or was like
There was all
orgy
kinds
style?
of rooms. There were orgies. There were like secret rooms.
Well, and
like
did you like it or did you not like the?
I liked it until everybody went away, and then the sex workers came
Why
out.
was that?
Because it was almost like it took away from the experience because it didn't feel authentic anymore. It felt like they were planted there.
Oh, you feel it was.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they were
Like-
planted there, and it wasn't like what I wanted. I
Yeah.
like
they
the
were
day
like-
you find out
it
wrestling.
wasn't organic anymore.
Yeah, they were
Santa's
clocking in.
not real.
Yeah, exactly. Santa's not real. Like everyone showing up for like an orgy sex party. It's like everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to participate. Everyone's about this life.
Right.
People who are like clocking in. They're like their heart's not in it.
Right.
They're there. It's a clown at a birthday party.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
don't,
not to call them clowns, but
But
Right.
why then was the decision to bring the sex workers in if everyone there is attractive,
question.
fun, good vibe?
There's a part of me that makes me feel like the attractive people, like the modeling looking women there, were also planted there.
Oh, everything was a plant.
You know, like
So
they're
industry
like,
plants on screen and industry plants off screen.
right. So
Yeah.
I felt like I definitely felt like once I saw what was going on and all the moving parts of like planting people, like the
Usual
pretty
suspects.
girls, and then the pretty girls are gone, and then now it's like I don't get to play with the pretty girls. I gotta play with the sex workers that that are like maybe even trafficked. I don't even know.
Now,
Like who knows?
Do you think that was the consensus of the party, or that was just you understanding?
I think, well, the person I was with saw it too.
And didn't like it.
And he's not in the business. And
Yeah.
he saw it and he was like, all right, things are getting weird.
Yeah.
So then we went and met up with a bunch of porn people at a fucking house party and it was not weird anymore.
Yeah.
I love the people at AVN. I love it. I have so much fun making the content. Sorry. I have so much fun making the content.
Right.
I have so much fun doing this. I think that people in porn are just exactly like comedians. There's a couple people that are like, I don't want to be around you, but most people are so much fun.
Yeah.
They're entertaining. They come out to our shows. They like our shows. We go to their shows. They just don't know we're there.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect. It's symbiotic between the two industries. But I can see where there is blurred lines when you're doing this Beverly Hills party.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird because it was the normal people that creeped us out with their arrangement and how they wanted the night to go.
Yeah.
That we're like, I'm gonna go to where the normal people think the weird people are, but really we're more normal than them.
Well,
Yeah.
So it was like-
that's the interesting thing too, because I'm all about a good time. Like, I'm cool with going to hedonism and stuff like that. That's just not my vibe. I'd rather be about people who are like kind of open, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the life.
Right.
This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want people who are, even with the swinger, I have no hate towards them. I don't mind if you do it. I'm cool with watching the person I'm with get fucked. I just don't want it to be a lifestyle thing and a manufactured thing.
You just gotta be a unicorn.
Right,
Yeah,
I don't even want to go to the parties where it is just for swingers. I mean, I know it exists, but yeah.
I just went to a Hedo takeover party for a week.
In the grill?
It was in Jamaica.
At the resort?
At the resort.
Oh,
It's a swingers group called Dirty Pervs, and it was like 400 people from this group that took over the whole resort.
Yeah.
And I came in, I'd never been to one before, and I came in as a unicorn, and that shit was fucking fun.
Oh, it was good?
It was so much fun. Still talked to a bunch of people from this party, and I was going in blind.
How many days?
It was like, I think a solid 7 days.
I did the 7 days at hedonism. I was exhausted.
Everybody got sick towards the end.
It was too much. See, again, it's I don't mind going for the, maybe even a night. It's just too much. It's too much of that.
Yeah, I used to go to this sex club, and I would like bring a date or whatever, and we'd fuck and be out in the open. And at the most, when I was seeing this girl where we would go together, we would go like once a month, once every 2 months, and it was like a nice little treat.
Right.
We never were swapping or anything, but it was like
Cheat
fucking
day.
in front of people. Cheat day, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I think one of the most out there things was we were fucking in a room, and then a couple was watching us and like, can we come in the room? And they started fucking, and that happened again and then again, and so there was 4 couples fucking in the room, and we were all having a really good time.
Right.
And I remember just being really open and fun with that. I remember watching one other couple while I was fucking her, and she's like, do you think she's hot? And I was like, yeah. And then us talking about that as we're fucking and they're fucking,
and that makes it even more hot.
makes it even more hot.
Yeah, I do like that.
But same thing, like not in the lifestyle.
Not in
It
the
wasn't
lifestyle.
like, okay, can we get your contact and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we went
You
there.
leave it there.
We leave it there, had a little fun, and then we go back to it when we go back to it, or don't when we don't. Yeah.
The hottest moment. Sorry, I was coming off a sickness last week, and I was doing so many shows, so I'm phlegmy. But one of the hottest experiences I've ever had. I was just at a bar. Me and some random person met 2 people who were sharing a hotel.
Yeah.
We all went back to their place. They're fucking on their bed. We're fucking on our bed.
Yeah.
No connection, no crossover. But it was just so hot.
Just good, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Could live. Could die.
Could have died in that
Died
moment.
in
Yeah,
that
been
moment.
happy.
Anyways.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's just that simple.
Yes,
That's
it
You know,
is
you don't have
that
to
simple.
overcomplicate things with like crazy, storylines and all that kind of nonsense.
I feel that is the
Yeah.
thing.
You
I feel
know?
that is an overcomplication.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also too, when you're there is weird expectations. I just don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want weird expectations.
Yeah. Should we wrap it here?
We should wrap. This
Let's
is great.
wrap, dude. Yeah.
Gem as always.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah, dude. Great stories. Unbelievable. Like you're yeah.
You're killing it now. Like
Yeah.
after coming, you're killing it now.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
It's great.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot as I'm going on. I'm kind of like shooting from the hip, hoping for the best too,
Yeah.
and it kind of feels like I've been reborn in a sense because it's a whole different animal now. This
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this was very entertaining, and
Mm-hmm.
the things again with in terms of like what you don't expect. I had no idea about that. Glad you do your research.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about it out there. Yeah.
Is that
it
what
was
it was?
just off of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nothing I had written down. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I have no game plan. I just want to talk.
Yeah.
And be so unprepared.
I
love that.
I always come with notes to springboard off of.
Yeah.
So we got stuff.
but that was
yeah.
great. Shout
Yeah.
out to where people can
Yeah,
find you.
absolutely. Right to the
Yes.
center camera.
Center camera?
Yeah.
Okay. You can see more of me, Eva Angelina, at evaangelinaofficial.com. All my links.
We'll see you on the next one.